Nakul, in a way, Lagaan is taken as an example today where sync sound really changed the way film sound is done.
Yeah.
So, was there any dubbing in post or some?
Out of a 3-hour, 42-minute film, I think it was 3 minutes of dub.
That's it.
Yeah. And a lot of that was because we changed the scores and things.
Okay.
This was the thing. I mean, I used the term sound design in Lagaan and Dil Chahta Hai because I think there I really did do sound design. And it's now become a generic thing where it's sound design.
Correct.
It's not. I mean, sorry guys, but half of you are not doing sound design. You have no clue what sound design is to begin with. Lagaan, I made 5 kilometers of microphone cable which I had under the pitch, which we laid under while the pitch was being done with the art department 3 months ahead of shoot.
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
5 kilometers
of cable, because I had breakout boxes, I had mics which I could I had little boxes which I could put mics in. I knew there was going to be days where there was multi-camera setups and I couldn't have a boom.
Correct, because in a cricket pitch, how do you show?
Exactly.
Oh.
The English team, no issues because they had clothes on where I could hide a lapel too.
Right.
What do you do on bare-chested people?
Correct. Yeah.
So that's where your sound designing from, all right, so this is where I need to address this situation before it gets to something where I don't know what is being said.
So did you get a nod from the production when you told them that this is how it's to be done?
Yeah. That was the fab thing of Reema, who was the producer, Amir's wife at that time.
Right.
Backed you on everything.
Because they understand the...
Well, I think the thing was they didn't know enough.
Okay.
And also the first day, I mean, I saw from the corner of my eye, I saw Amir's spot boy talking. And I threw something at him. And I said, what's going on? I said, he's talking. I said, you can't throw things. I said, well, either he leaves, then I leave. I can't do my job if he's going to be talking. And because he's your spot boy means he thinks he can get away with this bullshit. He was on a flight home that evening. Otherwise, we still wouldn't be doing sync.
Right. But then how do you kind of, you're focusing on the shot, and how do you hear? Your ears are so sensitive, or?
Well, you hear it. I mean, if you suddenly hear, that's what you're focusing on, right? I mean, what is the job of a sound guy? It's there to get the dialogue the cleanest you can without any extraneous noise. Now, the moment you hear someone speaking in Hindi, when that was a different language, and you say, wait a second, that doesn't fit in.
So that also gets recorded on the...
It gets recorded also, because the microphone is, even though they're directional microphones, it's still a microphone. It's going to pick up whatever...
Correct. We might get crow sounds in this video.
Yeah, yes.
Even after cleanup, there might be some noise.
Yeah.
That way.
Though now, well, that's a different thing altogether, but again, with RX5 and RX6 now, the cleanup software is so fantastic that, I mean, on Bhaag, we shot in Delhi outside on that Connaught Place. Nehru scene, and we've taken out all the traffic and all the crows, and everyone says, oh, you've dubbed it. And no, I haven't dubbed it. I know what I'm doing when I'm cleaning up. That's the problem. The difference is 90% of you don't know what you're doing when you're cleaning up. And which is why I get, well, oh, he's dubbed this, he's dubbed that. And I said, no, I haven't dubbed it. I've used this. Listen to the performance. I mean, look at it.
So, for Aam Janta who goes to a cinema to watch a movie, can he or she make out that this is sync sound and this is dub sound, or this is a mix? Earlier it was sync, now it is dub, now it's again?
You shouldn't be able to. That's what I strive to do.
Okay.
And I really think that it shouldn't matter whether it's sync or dubbed or whatever. To me, it's really about the performance and the story. If you get your audience thinking about that, then you've lost them.
So how do you manage to achieve that uniformity in the sound of a film, given the different locations, different mics maybe?
Yeah, but that's what you do. That's why I've got white hair. I guess it is. I mean, it's a hell of a difficult job to do. No one's saying it's easy. But I think with the experience, that's what you you learn through your mistakes, and that's where you get to the point which you. I know a lot of people mix. I sometimes mix it if it's a noisy environment. I'm focusing on, besides the dialogue, I'm also focusing on the level of my background. When I change shots, then I'm trying to match the level of the background, so it's a smooth thing. Which is why I also think it's important that you record ambiences in that and room tone in that place. Because then even if you do a dub, you need to have that same sound to mask it with, or dirty it up enough that it doesn't sound like a dub.
So in surround, when you have to kind of come up with a film now with surround sound and stuff like that, how are you managing to?
I think there's a vast difference to begin with between TV and film sound.
Right.
TV is played back for the most part of a smaller speaker.
Yeah.
It masks a lot of the frequencies which are problematic, which you get when you've got full range with Dolby, with Atmos and things. Again, it's experience, I guess, and like how you use it. If I've got a situation where I'm going to see traffic, I don't mind the sound of traffic being there. If I've got a situation where it's a period film, then I do have an issue with that. That's what, then you make that call when you go on your location recce. You make sure, or you put up flags saying like, guys, I can't do this. This is not going to be usable. Simple things like, where does the generator go? All that is locked in at the recce time. When I go on a recce, that's where is the generator? Do you have enough cable? Is your generator strong enough to power enough lights which he wants? Most of our generators aren't, they might say 250, but they won't. It'll be like 185. And then like the moment you've got like 900 meters of cable, it drops to 125 or 130. So it's not going to light shit up. So you need to figure that out. It's not my job, but I raise a flag. It's all about teamwork.
So taking Lagaan as an example, because it was a very popular film, you had even locals, in the stadium.
Yeah.
There are various shots.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that people there don't speak up and there's no motorcycle?
Through the cricket match, it was shot very smartly.
Okay.
It was angles. We had a couple of days where we had the big crowd,
Right.
which it was just. I wanted that crowd because that crowd was where the buzz was from. For the match, Stephen and me actually went, we got Amir to speak to Sachin, who spoke to someone else, and we got permissions to go and see an India-Australia test match. And if Bhuvan's name was Sachin, it would have been outstanding. But since it wasn't, since the chant is only Sachin, 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 I think out of that whole day, which we recorded non-stop through the day. Crowd sounds. I think we managed to get a minute and a half, which was usable, out of about 8 hours or 6-7 hours of recording. A minute and a half. But that helped.
Right.
But yeah, so you've just got to persevere and get what you can.
Since you placed mics all over.
I used all of that.
Right. Yeah. So there might be some truck or something that goes along, then you do.
I think they very quickly got used to the fact that this guy's he hears things like a dog. So a couple of sessions of screaming and shouting, and it was, okay, do not let trucks go. I do remember the wind being so strong.
Correct. How do you manage that?
Well, there were takes where we'd suddenly get a gust of wind and the boom, instead of pointing over here, would suddenly be swung over there. Just take it again then. I do remember the night shoots where it didn't make it to the film. But there was a whole dialogue sequence when the British officers come in at night and these guys are with their machans. It was so cold that their teeth were chattering.
Oh, okay.
And one of the actors started humming a song. And I knew who it was because I had his microphone on.
Right.
And I went up to him and I said, do not sing. And he actually abused me and says, do you know who I am? And who you two, how can you blame me? It could be anyone. So I said, do you want me to play it back over the PA? And you should be able to recognize your own voice because I can. And he backed off.
So you have to put your foot down.
You have to put your foot
down. You just
down.
can't say, excuse me, can you please?
I don't. I've become much calmer now.
Okay.
But 15 years ago, I was an asshole about things. I was anal about it. And I think even now I am anal when I need to be. I'm just a lot more calmer, and I think I've now got they've heard about the legendary temper, which I do let flare, sometimes purposely. I think it needs to be done within the first 2-3 days, just so that everyone just backs up and knows that, like, yeah, this guy's listening, and it's not for me, it's for the film.
Correct.
I mean, I've told actors that I'm not recording you to take it home and listen to it at night. It's not for my pleasure. I don't get off on your voice. It's for the film. And I think you should be, which is, once again, it's a thing of experience where you earn their trust. You know, I know a lot of our guys will probably be so overawed with the actor that they won't say anything. They're too scared, or it's like they don't even approach the actor. I can't work like that. I have to break it down. I have to get to know them. I do get to know them.
But anything that you really kind of had a tough time working in, I mean...
Taare Zameen Par.
Okay.
Children, not actors. Short attention spans being children. Yeah, I think Taare was really difficult. Lux was incredibly difficult. I mean, if people thought Lagaan was a tough shoot, which it was, nothing like Lux.
Really?
Yeah, we shot in Ladakh, doing sync on a mountain, war sequences at 12,000 feet. You're out of breath, guns going off, the explosions going off, tempers are short, you're really cold, you're miserable, you're working all through the night, it's really cold. Yeah, not film shoot friendly place at all. It looks beautiful, it's gorgeous, but it's got to be the most difficult place to make a film. For completely different set of things. I remember on Lux we did the mix with Roger Savage in Sound Firm in Australia. The guys hadn't done the score. I mean, we got the score later. And then after getting the score, then we got the live strings. And each time we rebalanced it, I kept changing the perspective of the guns. Should the guns be from should it be from the protagonist's point of view, which was Hrithik, or should it be really loud and in your face like a Hollywood film? I think we went close towards a balance of the two, but more being the protagonist, because a lot of it was from his point of view. And so the mix kept changing. But it's a strange thing, the mix. I mean, like, as I think Taare is some of my best work, but it's not, no nominations for any awards. But I think that in itself is a award by itself, because if no one is thinking about the sound, they're so locked into the movie, then I've done my job. I've taken you into the film.
So if nobody mentions that the sound was great, means...
I think you're on a good track then.
Okay.
Unless it's a wham bam action film, and then if no everyone says, like, then you're saying, oops, what happened?
So you've done quite a few Hollywood films also.
Yeah.
Last year's Lion was one of the winners and nominated films. How was that experience working with a foreign crew, or was the crew foreign?
Well, the DOP was Greg Fraser. Unbelievable experience, actually. To see him light up a room using 2 0-watt bulbs. Magic. And just, I think Garth had great vision also, the director. He was very clear about what he wanted, what he didn't want. And I think I surprised him on that. Because initially their thing was, India, we're not going to get it, it's a noisy place. And by the end of the India shoot, he says, like, listen, will you come and do Australia also?
Okay.
And we couldn't because of union issues and things.
So you can't work outside India?
They said it would take 6 months to get a,
Or the Australians denied
yeah,
it?
yeah. The union would have to give me that, which would, they would take
In
that
Australia?
long, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And in Italy, well, I missed out on his next film, which was Mary Magdalene, and he suggested me to production.
Okay.
But they said, no, we have to do it with someone from Italy. And there are reasons of doing that because it depends on where the money for the film comes from in the larger scheme of things. But as God said, he says, like, hopefully after this I'll be a big enough director where I can insist on my crew, and I want you on that again. So I said, thank you. No, it was really cool because, I mean, I got a letter from the Academy saying that in case Lion is nominated, I would be one of the 3 people they've chosen after going through the film and speaking to different people. So they speak to the director, the mixer, and things. And I think that's pretty cool, you know, because there was an Australian mixer, production mixer also, and yet they chose me for that.
That's really commendable, and we are proud to have an engineer like you.
No, it's a great feeling, you know, because at least when your work is appreciated, that's all we really want, you know.
Nakul, nowadays we have a young fresh blood coming into the industry, some new sound engineers, you know, sound designers. Like in music we have a musician becoming an engineer, and engineers are also becoming musicians.
Become a grey line, yeah.
Yeah. So, what is it that you feel is happening today? How does one raise the bar and ensure that quality doesn't suffer?
To me, it's just my personal opinion, but I think experience plays a large part in it, because if you haven't experienced things, you're not going to know what it sounds like.
Like we just heard.
It's like we just heard some, you know, I played you some music which, unless you've heard something like that, you're never going to know what it sounds like. So how do you recreate that? Similarly, for a musician, I think it's if you haven't heard like an orchestra, a complete, you know, with strings and a brass section and stuff, you're never going to know what it sounds like. How will you? You can't do it by listening to other films and saying, oh, in this film it's like that. Doesn't cut it. What if that film is completely wrong? You don't even know, what are you basing your judgment on? It's got to be in your head. You've got to have heard it. To me, as sound design, it's always about something which I'm hearing in my head. Even if you're making up something in your head, I think at the end of the day, it's all about how the bottom line is. Does it take your story forward? That is the key. Sound design has got nothing to do with how big and how loud it is, or how heavy your punch is, or how realistic it is, or how unrealistic it is. You've got to keep your audience in the picture. That's what's important. There's too many things where I see where I have no connect with the picture because the sound is on a different level and the film's on a different plane. And there's no sync between the two of them. Whether it's loudness wise, some of the big major blockbuster films here, I can't relate to it because it's just too loud. And I think that is a problem which is more and more becoming an issue. Where I hate seeing an audience cringe.
Because of the sound.
Because of the sound.
And there are some films that give you some headache also after some time, you know.
Because it's just
too loud.
Too loud, too much music. It's all about a balance.
Don't you think many times, I mean, I've heard music composers, background score guys complain that, you know, that the sound guys spoiled my music. You know, I played such a nice little melody and it never came in the film. Because the guy chose to keep dialogue over it, or, you know, those kind
Well, at the end of the day, the dialogue is going to rule the film.
Right.
I mean, as much as I...
But what about the emotion that the music was trying to, you know, evoke?
Well, you know what, to me, it's interesting. If you look at a Western film for the most part, you'll have the music, you'll have the actor, he'll come on stage, I mean, he'll be there, The music will bring the actor up to you, and then his performance, the music will stop, the background will stop, and his performance will carry it through.
So it's silence.
Yeah. In Indian films, you'll have the music come, and then when it gets to the actor, when instead of his performance carrying it through, that's when the bloody strings will kick in. Does it need it? On Taare, I remember I got Amir to pull out 14 pieces of music. Shankar Ehsaan hated it. But it didn't need it, because I think the performance took it through. You don't have to say cry over here. If the performance is doing it, you don't need to. You don't need to underline it.
There are some instances in the film that make the audience cry on their own because of the timing of the sound going off.
Correct. Silence is a very, very, very strong sound.
That's a nice quote.
To me, one of my favorite quotes is, silent is an anagram of listen. And that's what sound design is. It's you've got a peak. If you don't cut it somewhere, how's it going to be effective? If you've got it quiet and then suddenly you have something, isn't that much more effective than having noise here and then just going up till there? Again, it's all about how are you telling the story. Listen, look at the film and tell the story. Most of the background score, I think, is composed without them even listening to the bloody dialogue, which is why they say, where is my beautiful piece gone? Have you been listening to the dialogue? Do you know what the key words are in that part of it? No, you don't. Because you've got it on mute. वो बाद में उसको क्या सुनने का है?
So it's their duty to listen to what is
being said. You've got to know. Ideally, I would like to have it where we all get the edit, where if I give them, I do things like a lot of times I'll use ambiences like crickets and things, which I'll pitch to match the music. It'll be in the same key, so it slips in and out without it being noticeable. Or I might do it where, change the key, where it sticks out because it's a separate story by itself of I'm trying to take you into a place in a zone. You know, so it's how you use it.
It's like you're feeling of a jungle or...
Correct. But do I want the score to take me along with that? Or do I want it to be a counter to this is going on and this is a score which I'm letting emotionally take you somewhere else? It's two different things. I don't think half our sound guys listen to that stuff. They're not even aware of it, unfortunately.
So it's very important for us to understand the subject and then approach.
Yeah.
So when you do the location sound and you bring it to the studio.
I'm thinking about it on location. I go and record, on my off days, I'm normally out recording something or the other.
Okay.
Because I can't get it, at times you can't get it with the crew of, how big or small your crew is.
Right.
It's impossible to get. So I go back to places and try and get it then.
True. So when you come back to the studio, when you're working on the final mix, because that's the last stage before the film hits the screens, after the final edit and stuff. So at that point, have you started work on some other project?
No.
Because then, you're confused.
It's happened to me before when I was doing, between Taare Zameen Par and Om Shanti Om. You couldn't get two more different films.
Right.
And it was extremely difficult wearing two hats. Very, very difficult. It's just a completely different sensibility to begin with. And the context of both the films is completely different. So, how do you do that?
Okay.
You can't run one into the other. It's got to be separate.
So you prefer to finish a film and then...
Yeah, definitely.
That would be a better way to...
That's what I do.
Okay.
I need to take time off and get it out of my system also.
In your shoot days, do you hang out with the actors and the crew, or it's very like...
It depends. It depends. On shoot days, no. Shoot days, you just go and crash. On the off days, we might party.
Right.
You do it, again, it depends. You do have to party with the actors a little bit just to, get them used to you.
Okay.
But personally, they're a different breed of people. And I know I love you guys also, but if you hear this or see this. But then again, see, the thing is, actors aren't going to watch this.
No.
they're too vain to watch it.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with them. They are bigger than they're in the old world.
So coming back to the younger generation, how do you propose or what do you suggest to them? Like you said, listen to music, go watch concerts or even DVDs for that matter.
Be aware of what your surroundings are. I carry a little recorder with me wherever I go and I'm constantly recording stuff.
Okay. Just for...
I use it wherever. I mean, I've got two of these. I mean, there's one Zoom there and one Zoom here.
Right.
One stays in the car, one's in my bag.
So you're constantly
I'm constantly hearing things. The moment I hear something, I hit roll.
Okay. So what else can today's students or younger engineers who are watching you learn? In the sense, what would you like to tell them?
Unfortunately, I think the best way is to apprentice with someone.
Right.
And I do get a lot of kids saying like, we want to work with you and things, but I take on only one at a time.
Right.
So, I mean, and as I said, it's been great because the people who worked with me or worked under, who started off with me, I think it's a way of giving back. But Shantanu Hudlikar, Stephen Gomes, Belen Fonseca, Pranav, who's working on Mera's films now, Sohail, who's doing a lot of Yashraj work, Sanjay Chaturvedi. That's not too bad a track record of being able to give back. Because I think you have to share that experience. I think you'd asked me earlier, don't you think it's competition? But if you don't share it, what's the point?
True. Because you can do one film at a time. You can't do 100 films at a time.
Yeah. So. In any case, I choose the scripts which I want to do. Okay. So, unless I'm really broke and my bank manager calls up.
Though it's very easy to kind of listen and imagine what a sound engineer goes through on location. You have to carry a lot of stuff physically. And
that's something you've got to be really careful of. I've just had spine surgery.
Correct, I was coming to that. So you had a neck and spine surgery, and which is a long one. And
it's your posture. It's carrying gear with you. It's the long hours. Look after your back. Spend it on buying a harness if you are going to be carrying stuff. Make sure that it's comfortable. Your health is paramount because without it, you can't work. And I think, as I've told students before, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm in it for the cinema."
True.
No, I don't think that's true at all. You're here to feed your family. Bottom line.
Is that what is happening today, or?
I got into it because it was just a passion of mine. But throughout the thing, it was always at the back of my mind. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to it. I should have paid more attention that it is for putting food on the table. I have been broke a lot of times, but I don't see why I should be. This undercutting and things, it's not good for you. Dropping your salary, dropping your rates doesn't work because you're killing yourself, you're killing the market, you're killing the industry.
No, but then the guy says that I quoted an X amount and the production house got back to me saying I'm getting done at half X.
Correct.
So then you say I have to pay my rent, I have to feed my family.
But if everyone says that's the amount, production houses will say okay. If you started off, if you're already making an excuse for it, then you're probably the son of a bitch who's brought down the rate.
So then everybody has to come down.
Then everyone has to come down, yeah. And I get that a lot. And I said, well, here's the deal. You want to get this kid who's just come out of thing, over me with all the experience I've got. Do you think that what do I bring to the table? Do you think it's just me coming on set and pushing a button? Then you might as well use the kid. Because then you have no clue what I'm bringing to your film.
Right.
But if you want all my experience, which is a lot of it is unsaid, which is, in different departments it goes to, where I can even mention something like, oh, that's, we catch things which, continuity-wise, which people don't even think about. Challenges of what you've gone through in the years of experience pays for itself in when there is a problem, you deal with it in like 30 seconds without anyone even knowing that it's the problem. You don't stop the shoot because that's way too expensive to do.
Which an inexperienced guy will
do.
And then you don't realize
you don't realize it, and then you've got to dub the whole bloody film later on. Or you've got to clean it up because they have no clue what they're doing. Then you get the thing of, "Arey, ye chalta nahi hai, yaar, this sync sound doesn't work." Or it doesn't work when you've hired someone for peanuts. You pay for what you get. Good, fast, cheap. Pick any two. Good and cheap, it ain't going to be fast.
Right.
Fast and good, it ain't going to be cheap.
Correct. But do you feel in today's times when, everybody's talking of cost cutting and budgets, and even though ticket prices are pretty high.
Yeah. The actors make all the money. Exactly. It's a complete bullshit.
Actors are charging the most.
Well, you know what? Cameramen get paid fairly decently. I'm glad that the union is on strike at the moment. But what's the use if you sound guys out there are going to be cutting each other's throats?
That unity is important.
That unity is important. Stop bloody... the problem is there are too many of them. Now, who are the good ones and who are the bad ones? You're never going to be able to tell. Because everyone in their heads is already reached. I get 3 to 4 guys a month saying, "Sir, I want to work with you and I want 2 lakhs a month or lakh a month." So I said, "Listen, time out. I am still learning. You say you know everything. You want this, you're justifying that you want this money because you've studied for 4 years.
Right. And you've maybe paid a lot of money in fees.
Yeah. I'm still learning and I've been working for 15 years. So how does that correlate? It doesn't. Plus 15 years of studio work before that.
So that's like 30 years of experience.
Yeah. The kids look at me now and they'll be doing something and saying, "No, we can't do this." And I'll use a shortcut on Pro Tools and say, "What did you do?" I'm saying, "I don't know. It's just something which is out of some memory. It just comes back when you need it, Right. When you do things instinctively without even thinking about it.
That's what experience is all about.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Nakul, it was fantastic talking to you.
Thank you.
And you shared a lot of...
Well, I hope I've given you something, anything even remotely.
Come back again for more, because I'm sure the audiences would really benefit, those who are listening.
Yeah.
They will hopefully understand and get the message and improve their own skills.
Yeah.
And undertake a lot of suggestions and ideas that you have thrown.
Well, I'm open to them. I do enjoy teaching people, and I do enjoy trying to share what I can with them. It's just that when you're working, it's impossible to do. But yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you.